They both have experience as siblings as well as OTs. They're both local right now, and Kia works at University Hospitals. Kristen works at Metro. And so they bring a range of population and experiences with a variety of age groups. And I'm very excited for you to hear them and all the strategies that they have thought of. I know they worked really hard on this presentation. We're going to blank out our screen if that's okay and ask questions at the end. So because they have a PowerPoint that they're going to go through. And if you have any questions in the middle, feel free to put it in the chat or save it till the end because we save time for questions as well. So you guys can take it away.
Just a little disclaimer before we get started. By viewing or participating in this webinar or accessing or viewing any information referenced or linked in it, you agree that DSANEO's employees, volunteers, or other persons or entities are not acting as your medical professional or attorney. Information and or responses that you may receive from the website, webinars, electronic mail, phone, or in any other matter don't create or constitute a doctor-patient or attorney-client relationship between you and DSANEO or any employee, volunteer, or other person or entity associated with DSANEO. Information received from DSANEO's employees, volunteers, or other associated persons or entities or from the website or webinar should not be considered a substitute for the advice of a medical professional or attorney. DSANEO does not provide any medical or legal advice. You should consult with your own doctor or attorney for medical or legal advice. This webinar and our website is a general service that provides general information over the internet. The information contained in the webinar or website is for general information purposes only and should not be construed as medical or legal advice under any circumstance.
So this presentation is called The Power of Independence, and Kia and I really wanted to emphasize that there's so much power in independence and being able to do your self-care tasks independently. So Debbie did a really nice job introducing us already, but my name's Kristen. I'm Lori's daughter. I know everybody knows Debbie and Lori. And I'm an occupational therapist at Metro Health in outpatient pediatrics. And my favorite occupations are yoga, traveling, walking my dog Oakley, and being a sister to my brothers Alex and Charlie. Okay.
And then I'm Kia. I work at University Hospitals. Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. I work at University Hospitals, Rainbow Babies and Children. I do half inpatient and half outpatient. Work with varying ages from preemies to 22-year-olds. So I am Debbie Picker's daughter and Aaron and Jeremy's sister, Aaron and Jeremy Green, if you know them. And some of my favorite occupations are family time, running, and baking. And just as an overview, occupations are just anything that you can fill your day with.
Okay. So some of the benefits of being independent, instilling confidence, improving safety, when our loved ones are living alone, or even if they're not living alone, just kind of having that confidence to be able to do things on their own is really big. Avoiding burden and burnout of caregivers, because that's something that's really important and to keep in mind, because we all know to be the best caregiver for our loved ones, we have to make sure we're taking care of ourselves. And if we can help them be a little bit more independent, that might alleviate some of that burden. And then strengthening cognition, preventing cognitive decline. So the more things we can do throughout our day to fill our day, that's stimulating, the mind and the body, that's going to help with our cognition.
So we, in occupational therapy, split up between ADLs, activities of daily living, and then IADLs, which are instrumental activities of daily living. So ADLs are kind of like the simple, necessary things we have to do throughout the day. So those things include eating or feeding, dressing, personal hygiene, and toileting. And that's kind of like all encompassing, like some kids don't use this toilet, but it's just, it kind of covers all the bases of like where people are at on that spectrum. IDLs, instrumental activities of daily living, are the more complex tasks we do every day. So that's like health management and maintenance, home establishment and maintenance, and then meal prep and cleanup. So these are the things that we're going to talk about today for self-care.
Okay, so the first one is feeding and eating. So there's a lot of adapted equipment that you can use, and there's a couple things that as OTs we do in therapy to help our patients or clients. And we either do like remediation, which is like strengthening, a lot of practice, kind of like to make people more independent, or we use modifications like adaptive equipment. So practicing these skills is also a big one, to strengthen up those skills. And like the more you do something, the better you get at it. And so a lot of times I'll tell families, just see how much they can do on their own and then offer assistance. So just kind of like that just right challenge too of giving them enough assistance so that they don't get too overwhelmed or frustrated, but kind of backing off just enough so that they can practice some of these skills on their own. But anyways, so for feeding, there's just some adaptive equipment here. So there's spoons that are, turned inward. So if somebody has difficulty rotating their wrist to be able to feed themselves, the spoon, they would just have to kind of use this range of motion versus having to turn their whole arm or wrist in. There's different plates with those are kind of like portion control, just to kind of help with that. There's plates that suction to the table, and then this blue plate here also has like a raised edge to kind of help with scooping. So if somebody's having trouble scooping without the plate moving all over the place, or having a hard time scooping without it spilling over the edge, this is a good one to use. These
Excuse me, I'm not seeing a visual. Is that just my phone or is everyone having?
Oh.
Oh, I see it now. Sorry.
Oh, okay, that's okay. Can everybody see it? I don't know why. Okay, I think.
Yeah, no, I think it was just
Looks good.
your
Okay.
but
Okay.
it's better now.
Okay. Perfect. And then there's something called easy holds. You can add these to utensils to kind of help with the grip a little bit. These built up spoon and knife and fork handles, that helps with grasp and grip as well to kind of help make it easier to hold and feed yourself. And then there's a cup here with a hole right where it's called a nosy cup because you don't have to tip the cup back so far because there's a little hole for your nose. So just some different adapted equipment that can help with eating and making that a little bit easier. Any questions about that? Yeah, it's a process. Feeding is a process too. Like I work with a lot of young kids who, have similar similar issues, and it's a slow process to kind of break those habits. But it'll be good to keep trying, I think.
Okay, so for dressing, we kind of have adaptive tools for individuals who have trouble physically with dressing, but also some ideas for like appropriate clothes and how to wear clothes appropriately. So appropriate clothing for the seasons. That can be really hard for some of our folks. So I know my sister, which is the idea of my mom and sister, they have a lot of these ideas. So when I reference, like there's pictures further in the slide. So it's not all Kristen and I, some of it's our moms who have helped set these things up. But so she has the weather app and she will check, and let's say it's in like the 50s or 60s, she'll reference like a piece of paper that says 60s pants, no jacket, or 30s, winter coat. So she has some guideline of it, like it's not just an arbitrary number of 30 degrees. I'll wear shorts. So she conceptually has a hard time with that. So having that guideline written out or visuals or pictures is very helpful for her. Then setting out clothing the night before kind of makes the morning routine a little bit easier. There's less stress. They have more time to think about it, more time to talk about it. Even if your like loved one is not living with you, they can FaceTime you and show you potentially what clothes they have set out for the following day. Dirty versus clean clothes, I know, is sometimes an issue. So using like big visuals over laundry baskets for like a very separate baskets for clean and dirty. Again, a lot of these things take practice too. So it's not always seamless. And between like using those visuals and practicing, it can become more successful. Using stickers or tags for like orienting clothing. So like up at the top, you see those shoes where the sticker is kind of like a puzzle. Like you put, if the shoes are on the right feet before like the sheep is put together. So they have a bunch of things like that. If your child or loved one can read, then using like an L and an R sticker in the shoes. And then for the physical aspect of things, a lot of our loved ones have some fine motor deficits. So using things like adaptive zipper pulls or button hooks to help with zipping up jackets and buttoning jackets. There's a sock aid in the top left, helpful if we have trouble bending down to put our socks on. And then wearing shoes without laces and adaptive laces is a big one. So the picture to the right is kind of just like a pull where all they have to do is kind of tighten it. But then also nowadays there's like very stylish shoes that don't have laces, which is also a good option to just kind of flip on.
Yep.
And then personal hygiene, again, using visuals. And I have access to some programs that can make visuals. So if there's something that you guys are thinking that you might need as we go through the presentation, I think it would be okay to, you can, email Lori or Debbie and then they can contact me, or I can give my email or something. So, but we could talk about that at the end too. But so visuals like this one right here on the left is for washing hands. So those can be helpful. Some people will have them like right in the bathroom. There's ones for brushing teeth and washing face, washing hands. Brushing teeth can be hard sometimes. So, thinking about like a vibrating toothbrush, if, that's going to get the job done a little faster, a little easier, or a regular toothbrush if the vibration is too much sensory input. And then timers to increase duration. Oh, I skipped face wipes. So instead of like washing face, if we don't like having water on our face, using like face wipes instead of splashing water in our face. Timers, so if you're concerned about how long we're brushing our teeth or doing any of these hygiene tasks, you can use like a visual timer on your phone. Okay, we're gonna brush our teeth for 45 seconds or a minute, and then when the timer's off, you're all done. And like adapted tools, so down here it's kind of hard to tell, but that's an adapted tool for cutting nails. It's a nail cutter. So all you have to do is squeeze that. It's easier for our loved ones who have difficulty with fine motor or strength in their hands. All they have to do is squeeze, and then that will trim their nails. And there's also safety razors and hair removers that if you touch with your finger, it won't cut you. And then my mom just mentioned that she also has visuals for girls on their period too. So if that's an issue, there, my mom has some visuals for that. That might be helpful.
Okay, so for bathing, long-handled equipment, like a long-handled sponge or loofah can be nice if there's kind of like a balance issue or we're having trouble like reaching down to our feet when we're in the shower. Loofahs can sometimes be better than washcloths just for like sudsing up the soap. Sometimes putting that soap on the washcloth is a little bit, it doesn't spread as easily, so you're not getting as clean. No slip bath mats for safety. And then grab bars. Again, these are more so for like if there are some physical issues or balance deficits. Having a mirror in the shower can sometimes be nice for kind of like if we're washing our hair and we're having trouble getting all the soap out, like having that visual feedback with the mirror can help with that. Pump dispensers too can help us get out an appropriate amount of soap. Like it's one pump or two pump instead of like an arbitrary use of like dumping the bottle over, or if we're using bar soap. So pump dispensers can be really nice for that. And then hanging hooks too can be good. Hanging mirrors, hanging towels so the towel is ready, not getting water all over the floor, things like that. Another thing with bathing too, I can't remember if we talk about it later or not, but I know a big issue is sometimes turning the water to a temperature that's appropriate, so not making it too cold or too hot, which can also be a safety thing. And I know for my sister's house, if you have like one of those showers that has like a knob or like a long handle, you can kind of make a marking where like it's like a good temperature. So like kind of working through some of those kinks and adding some visuals is a good thing. And then I think in the chat, the name of the hanging mirror and hooks. Are they handy hanging hooks, Kristen? Do you know the name of them?
Yeah, I think so. A lot of these things, we just looked up on Amazon. A lot of these things you can find. So I think if you just Googled or put in Amazon, hanging mirror and hooks, you might have some luck.
Yeah, I don't think there's one that we like I don't know of any that I use like in therapy or anything, but when we looked on Amazon, there seems to be a decent amount of options.
Okay. And then toileting. So long-handled equipment for wiping. And I think this one is tricky to figure out what someone might need. So if there's an issue of range of motion, like someone is having difficulty rotating and reaching back for wiping, then long-handled equipment might be nice. This isn't the best picture of it, but you can find them on Amazon too. And then the county board will give you stuff too. All this adaptive equipment, if you're connected to the county, you can ask, for them to get that for you too. But anyway, so the long handle wiping, you can just place the tissue is like a little clasp, and then all they have to do is kind of just reach it back and can wipe. Using wipes versus toilet paper can be a good strategy too. It might help with that hygiene and getting nice and clean. And then visuals. So we have this visual here looking at, okay, so I'm going to keep wiping until I don't see anything anymore, and then I'm all done. Because I think sometimes that can be the hardest part, is like not wiping till clean. And then someone who has difficulty with balance or stability on the toilet, having a toilet frame with grab bars might be helpful. Sometimes even adding like a step stool on the bottom so their feet are nice and planted rather than hanging. That can give some stability on the toilet as well. And then back to wiping, sometimes I'll have my patients practice with peanut butter on a paper plate and using tissue or wipes to wipe it all away, just to kind of get that tactile feeling of what does it feel like when it's all gone and done. Um, and then also the use of alarms and timers um, for to increase the awareness of how long am I sitting on the toilet? How long, how long have I been in here? Just like an increase of awareness for time and time management.
Okay. So now we've headed into the IADL. So we're going to talk about health management and maintenance. Kind of medication management is a big topic. A lot of our loved ones take a lot of medications and it's hard to keep track of. So using a pill organizer, either like a classic one that has like morning and night, or there are some fancy ones I know that the county has. I don't really know if they provide it for free or if it costs money, but ones that are like on a timer and they won't let you open it until the timer goes off. So that's what's pictured in the slide right now. And then alarms and timers for medications in general. So like having it set either on a tablet or an iPad or on a watch, a phone. So when the timer goes off, they know time for morning medication, time for evening medication. And then having to-do list apps or calendars for appointments is really helpful for kind of managing health in general for appointments or like doctor's appointments, or even for like day-to-day things that are necessary for health. So walking on the treadmill or refilling medicine. A lot of the apps these days have a huge visual component, which is really good for our kids or adults who have trouble with reading. So using like emojis. I have one patient who I use an app that keeps track of her morning and evening routines, and I use emojis instead of words because she has trouble reading. So that can be very helpful.
Okay. And then home establishment and maintenance. So another IADL, using labels and visuals for the dishwasher, the washer and dryer, kind of how Kia was saying with the bathing too. It's kind of hard to see. This is my mom's work, but on our washing machine, using arrows and lines, it's just like a Sharpie marker. Or you can use little like tabs, like those post-it pointer tabs. Just kind of giving a visual. Okay, so we want to go here first, and then we're going to turn to this, the 60. So, and then a lot of times with these visuals, we have to teach how to use the visuals first. So you can go through it with your loved one a few times and then kind of gradually wean off how much assistance you're giving. And then routines for cleaning tasks. So you can have like visuals for that too. Like, what do I need to do today? And it's always helpful too to break up those tasks into smaller chunks. So instead of saying, I have to clean the whole house today, maybe on Mondays we empty the dishwasher. On Tuesdays, I clean the sink and the bathroom. On Wednesdays, I clean the toilet. So kind of like breaking things up so they're not so overwhelming. Yeah, and then visuals too, like we talked about.
That's a great suggestion.
Oh, good.
So for meal preparation and cleanup, a lot of times using visual recipes is helpful instead of like a lot of text, having like a visual step-by-step, simplifying recipes. So using the microwave instead of the stove. you can microwave a lot of things like potatoes, and then labels for the stove and oven. So knowing which buttons to press for certain food items. And then timers and reminders for turning off appliances. And then there are these things called UV gloves, and they're cut-proof safety gloves for when you're using knives. And then there's also like adaptive utensils for cooking as well, not just eating. So there's like this rocker knife that we have here, which kind of just you hold at the top, so your hands aren't as close to the knife as a regular knife would be, and you kind of need a little bit less dexterity to use it. I know cooking is very complicated and sometimes very worrisome, so it's definitely something that it's helpful to have some strategies in place. And I would say the biggest thing is like really simplifying those recipes, make them as safe as possible. Which app? Oh, I think it's called To Do It. Let me verify and I'll type it in the chat. The question was, which app do you like for a task list? And I just want to make sure I'm giving you the right information. So I'll look real quick. But
Okay. And then home safety. So visual aids and social stories. So this looks like, I think Kia, you added this. So just something like that's on the door, so kind of like a checklist before you leave, like make sure the door is locked, make sure the stove and oven and dryer are off. So, and there's pictures too that are really, helpful. Like I know for my brother Charlie, who lives alone, my mom has all sorts of visuals like by the door, like, do I have my keys? Do I have my phone? Do I have my wallet? Or even things like, is there a knock at the door? Look through the peephole. Am I expecting somebody? So that like kind of home safety stranger awareness too. And then practicing emergency procedures. So kind of going over, what do we do if there's, a fire or someone's at the door that I don't know, and things like that. And then there's lots of technology too, like cameras, alarms, that can be placed in the home to help with this as well. We just had that really nice presentation from the county board about a month ago, and they talked about all the different technology that could go into the home. There was even like an iPad there, and if there was an emergency or not even emergency, somebody could press the button and it would automatically be calling someone, and they're available 24/7, even if it's just to like ask them a question, like, I don't know how much flour I'm supposed to put in this, recipe or something, even simple mundane tasks like that. So there's definitely technology available, and the county can help with that too. Because the goal, we all want our loved ones to be more independent. So technology can be a big help.
okay, and then just some tips for incorporating these things into daily life. So we know that it takes time to build up to everything. It's not just going to be like after this presentation, we're independent. So we want to realistically help you guys figure out how to incorporate it into your daily life. So a couple of tips we have off the bat is just finding realistic times to practice. So not in the moment, maybe on the weekends when you have more time, when things are a little bit more relaxed, not when you're rushing out the door. Providing as many opportunities to practice as possible. So it takes a while. Learning new skills takes a while, and especially as we get older, things take a little bit longer to learn. So not getting too frustrated or bogged down and kind of just having patience with it is definitely important. And then we talk about a lot in occupational therapy, something called the Just Right Challenge, which is kind of providing as little assistance as possible but enough to where you're not getting frustrated and bogged down by it. So whether that's breaking up the task, whether it's simplifying it or giving more assist, giving less assist. So kind of tweaking those little things to kind of make sure that we're not overwhelming, but we're also not making it too easy.
You know, we were talking about how finding times when you have the energy and your son has the energy, like on the weekends if you have more time. But yeah, I mean, we totally understand, like, you know, sometimes we have to do things fast to get out of the door, or you're just tired. I mean, we talked
Yeah.
about that caregiver burnout too, and like, you know, if we don't want you to burn out, so just kind of like, you don't have to do it every day. um but just like when you have the energy and when they have the energy, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
And, sometimes planning ahead helps. So my daughter, Kia and Kristen know this, she's 35, and I wanted her to make her own sandwiches and, peanut butter sandwiches, but she can't do that during the week. So we make them on Sundays. And Kia came up with the idea of using a cheese spreader to spread the peanut butter and squeezable jelly to just dump the jelly on it. And so we make enough sandwiches on Sunday for the week, and it took her a month, but she's completely independent about making the sandwiches now. And, sometimes it's just, the tiny little things that make a difference. Key and Kristen, thank you so much. This was so informative, and I wrote down a couple of things that I want to pursue because I think it'll be helpful to increase independence. Independence is something we're always striving for, and the journey toward independence never ends with our family members. It just never ends because there's always something that we want them to be doing on their own, so we don't have to do it.